Welcome back. Joining us in studio right now, we are checking in with former state rep John Stefanski. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So we're talking legislative session. For our friends at home, can you give us an overview of kind of what goes on during this time?
Yeah, so a little chaotic. They're about halfway through right now. And so, bills have already been filed. You're past all of that. Now you're really just debating legislation. And we're getting towards the end of session now since we're in May. And so you're really starting to see the bills that people want to make sure get passed, prioritizing those, making sure that they make it all the way through the process. And so legislators, wake up every morning. They go to committee in the mornings, and then they're usually on the floor where they all vote together in the afternoons right now.
Yeah, and I know one of the things being talked about is the Constitutional Convention. For those at home that aren't aware of what this is, what does that mean?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest issues this session. The governor has made it well known that he would like to call a constitutional convention to rewrite the Constitution. The last time that it has been rewritten was in the 70s, but they actually tried it in the 90s and it failed. And so, really big issue. The Constitution contains all of those things that Louisianians hold, really dear and really want protected, and they actually place those in the Constitution. So it's a really big deal, but it's very controversial this year because the governor wants to do it very quickly, and he only wants to allow legislators and 27 people that he picked to participate in it.
And in the past, voters picked those delegates, right?
In the 70s.
Yeah,
so in the 70s, they elected the delegates, and then in the 90s when they tried it, it was the legislators. But when that went to the voters, because after the convention meets and they agree on something, the voters have to approve it. And when it went to the voters in the 90s, it ended up failing.
Do you feel like this is something that could get rushed through?
It feels rushed. It feels extremely rushed. I will tell you as a citizen, and obviously I'm a different kind of citizen because I was there, but as a citizen, it feels very, very rushed to me. And the fact that it's only legislators and 27 people that the governor picks feels a little, maybe, I don't want to say unfair, but it feels like the deck is kind of stacked.
Yeah, and so I know one of the things that Governor Landry is attempting to do, he's attempting to rewrite the state's public records law. I feel like this could be another controversial thing, especially for voters.
Absolutely. This session, that's been one of the biggest issues, is the changes that the governor has supported to redo public records, and he's received a tremendous amount of pushback. As you can imagine from news outlets, that's a way that they get a lot of their information. But that's been extremely controversial, and I don't even think they realized how big of a deal that was going to be when they started that.
Yeah, so what do you suggest voters kind of pay attention to when this is going on?
Yeah, so, pay attention to the people that you sent up there to represent you. If you don't believe we should be having a constitutional convention, if you don't believe that we should be focusing on some of the things they're focusing on, reach out and let that legislator know. Because if you don't tell your legislator, your senator, or your state representative, they have no idea how you feel about these things. So I always encourage that. Reach out and tell them what you think they should be doing.
And we mentioned it might feel a little rushed. So do you think 2 weeks is enough time to rewrite this? Or do you need more time?
You need more time. Now, what I will tell you is that the governor, what he has articulated is that he doesn't actually want to remove or replace anything. What he does want to remove things from the Constitution, but he wants to place them in statute in another section. And so I understand the timeline based on what he wants to do. The problem is when you go into a constitutional convention, there are no rules. The convention delegates make all the rules, and they can do whatever they want. So it is a very, it's a very risky proposition to try to confine those delegates to just doing what you want them to do.
Well, I wish we had more time to talk about this because I feel like we could talk about this for an hour, it seems like. If people at home want to learn more about what's going on at the state capitol, is there a website that they can go to?
Absolutely. legis.la.gov. Go there. You can find your representative. You can find your senator. You can find all of their contact information. You can follow the bills. It's really, we have one of the best legislative websites in the entire nation. So please go check it out, legis.la.gov.
Thank you so much for stopping by to share this with our friends at home.
Absolutely happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And if you guys want to rewatch this, head to KADN.com. Everything you need right there. Let's check in with Adam Olivier.